What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to episode number 21 of the Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. Excellent, click the button there, but oh well. We're back here after the big off season. We re-signed some key players. Unfortunately, we couldn't retain Devin Dubnyk, but we have a good goaltending tandem this year. We got a similar looking roster this year, and we're just hopefully in a better spot. We kind of got rid of all of the bad contracts except for Duncan Keith. This is his last year, so regardless of what happens this year, he's most likely gone because he's already started declining overall. Plus, we're already looking towards the future for that. So let's give you guys a little bit of an update. You guys haven't seen the roster since, the preseason where we had a couple spots kind of, be tested or battled for. But none of those players actually ended up making it to the team. Everyone kind of did exactly what they were supposed to, and the roster looks exactly the same, at least for the forwards. We got the same lineup from last year: DeBrincat, Strome, and Kane on the first line, Koivu, Duchesne, and Solani on the second line. Don't worry about overall. Obviously, I know Solani is better than Kane or Koivu is better than DeBrincat, but it's how they performed during the preseason. And the line of Solani, Kane, and Strome that we tried did not work. They did not play well together. So we set that for a couple of games, but it just didn't really work out. Then the third line is back once again: Saad, Taves, and McLeod. Those guys actually played really, really well together. And McLeod, actually, I didn't even realize, maybe I did, but 56 points last year for McLeod. So that's pretty incredible, especially playing on the third line. Then our new fourth line of Jenner, Comfer, and Clutterbuck, they performed actually really well. They put up a few points each and had good plus minus through the preseason. So that line is really solid. So I'm really happy with our team so far. On defense, we have Fowler and Boquist once again, Ulevi and Severson, which was our top line during the preseason. Obviously, I brought Fowler and Boquist back up, and then somehow Duncan Keith said, basically, I don't want to get traded, so I'm going to perform. So he put up a few points during the preseason, which kind of led to him having a spot here, which is really weird because we were getting ready to get rid of him. But so far, he wants to be here. He's proved he wants to be here, and he proved that he deserves to be here. So on his right side will be Christian Yaros, plain and simple, the guy that won the battle between the rest of the guys there. And then in goal, no difference from last episode. Saros and Grubauer, no real difference. I'll take a quick look at the AHL if you want to pause it and look at it. Basically, they're in order of how they performed last year. Gignac, we did test him out in the NHL this year. He only had like 1 point or something like that through like 5 games. But the other guys performed a little bit better than him. And then everyone else down here is kind of right where they did last year. Then on defense, we are still stocked with talent, where if Keith doesn't perform this year, or a trade comes through for him, it kind of be who's playing the best there, or if there's a defenseman in the trade, it all depend on that. But Haig and Elliott are down here ready to step in, and then our right side's looking good. We finally got Zancarno, probably butchered that one, but our first round pick from 2 years ago is now in the lineup. So I think, was he here last year? No. Okay, he wasn't. So, yeah, he looks to be pretty good. He had really good years in the United States, wherever he was playing there. And, obviously we picked him, 20th. So, we obviously want something good from him. And then the rest of the guys just kind of fill out the lineup. Goaltender look at, same goaltenders as last year, Hollett and Gravel in goal. So we had to sign 2 more players that we'll be accepting hopefully in the next couple of days, mainly for depth players. One of them is like 75 overall or whatever. But yeah, those guys are just depth, so we're not even going to put them in the lineup. But yeah, that's kind of where we're kind of sitting right now. And same captains as last year. Taves is our captain with Kane and Keith as the assistants. But yeah, let's get right into it. I've blabbered on long enough. But we've been close every year here, going towards the playoffs, and for whatever reason, we just haven't been able to push past the one team that keeps giving us trouble, the Dallas Stars. So Their team, I actually did take a look at their team. They did not really change their team up too much, and I almost think that's a good thing because some of their better players have gotten worse. So the likes of Ben Sagan and Radulov, those guys aren't really performing that great. So, or not performing, their overall went a lot lower than before. So that's what we kind of hope for. Plus, Bishop used to be, what, an 87, 86, somewhere around there. Overall, he is now an 82. So he definitely declined a lot. Plus, in their backup role, they have a terrible goaltender. He's like 73 overall. So, I mean, that's looking good for us, obviously. And what's also looking real good is both of our records. 7-1-1. We were 7-0-1. And then Rockford was 6-0-1 at the same time. But we're off to a great start. I was going to go the first month and kind of see what happens. But this is great. I mean, I did swap up our strategies a tiny bit. Didn't really dramatically change them. But kind of made the offensive lines play more offensive. Made the defensive lines play a little bit more defensive. So that's what we kind of did. But I don't know where this start came from. But hey, let's go take a look. So it looks like only one other team is kind of hanging with us right now, and that's the Colorado Avalanche. I believe we played them, was it last year or the year before that? But we start off 10-1-1 in the NHL. And let's kind of see what's been happening. So Kane, only 9 points. Interesting to see. So now we got the duo of Strome and DeBrincat on the first line. Kind of a weird start, but hey, they'll probably they'll come back eventually here. And then the second line of Duchesne, Solani, and Koivu are all playing very well. 9 goals for Koivu already, with no assists, so that's interesting. Then we have our fourth line wingers in Jenner and Clutterbuck playing pretty well. And our third lines, I mean, no one's really playing bad. It's just they're not putting up points, which is weird. But yeah, that's interesting. And not that I want to get rid of Taves, but I kind of want to get rid of Taves. I mean, I'm probably not going to, but it's kind of in a weird spot with him where he's playing the third line, and then he sucks for like half the year, and then he becomes like really good. So it's really weird the way he performs. But Boquist, no surprise there. Him and Fowler leading the team so far in points. He's 4-4. Interesting. Defense, Saros and Grubauer. That's great to see. You wanted them to have a good start. I'm going to quickly go through the AHL team. You can probably tell why I'm excited for them. Great start for both teams right now. Gignac off to a hot start down there as well. So that's great. If we ever have an injury later on in the season, Gignac plays well, that's great. But the first month in the books, we got 12 games played. We're going to go another month here and kind of see what happens. So you guys kind of saw, the player stats there. But let's go another month and let's kind of get into it. So the other thing I kind of did behind the scenes was last year. I kind of mentioned it with scouting, where there's a lot of players that weren't scouted very well. And this year, I'm making an extra effort to make sure my scouting is a lot better. And before, I would just kind of simulate the entire season, and it would kind of auto do all the scouting, and it would kind of do its own thing. But this year, I'm actually going to go through it. So the first kind of batch of scouting I did was strengths and weaknesses with the first, however, it was like 50 players or whatever, up until a certain date. The estimated date was like December 4th, which is right around where we're going to be stopping. So, we're going to have a little bit more behind-the-scenes work, but it's definitely going to be worth it come off-season. But we have a trade. Now, we do have a bunch of stuff on our surplus this year just to get some movement in the organization. Tyler Prosser has, 13 points so far this year. This is an unsigned player. Should mention that one. In the United States. 6th-round pick from last year. They want a 6th-rounder pick for him. Not right now. But what's also on the block is Keith and then Spears, and then I think there's a defenseman on there that are all on the trade block. So mainly Keith is still on there because if we can get the most out of him as possible, and plus get rid of that salary, we could always make a bigger move later on this year and potentially upgrade our defense. Maybe can't really upgrade our offense anymore without like moving a guy that's mid 80 overall to the fourth line. But I don't know. We're off to a great start. So that's what we wanted. Obviously, new team, not new team, but new season. Kind of the same team. Couple of new faces in there. But the morale looks good so far, and our team looks good so far. So that's what we're hoping for. Big win versus Dallas earlier in the month, and a couple more games here, and then that's all we're going to do for today's episode. But we'll always go back and look at the stats and standings. So we end the episode 19-6-1 in Chicago, and then in Rockford they started really, really well, but then kind of slacked off a little bit. But they're 13-7-2 down in Rockford. But let's go take a look. So we had, what was it, DeBrincat and Strome that were tearing stuff up before. Now Duchesne's at the top. So now I'm kind of curious to see to what's going to happen. So we are doing very well, but if we could change up our lines a little bit and they do even better, that'd be the goal. So our second line duo of Duchesne and Solani are performing super well. Then we have DeBrincat and Strome that are still performing very well. They're almost all those duos are kind of point per game. Then we have the goal scorers, Koivu and Kane, that are a little bit farther down here. So I'm not sure what's happening with Kane, but usually he's on top. But maybe we'll swap up some people in the top 6 here, and maybe they'll kind of jumpstart each other. I'm not sure, but then we got forwards here. Let me switch to that. Then we got our third line left wing of Saad. He finally started performing. McLeod and Taves are back up there. Jenner's doing really well with 14 points, and the other two guys are kind of settling back down to earth here down at the bottom. But what's really good, none of our forwards are minus for plus-minus wise, so that's great to see. Let's go check on our defense, because they were doing well at the time too. 15 points. Exactly what we want. They're doing well on the power play. 5 power play points, 3 power play goals. Interesting to see. Fowler, a couple points. But all right. Ulevi and Severson doing well on the second line. And then Yaros and Keith are holding it down on the third line. So as long as that third line pair gets a few points and plays well defensively, that's kind of what we want. Goaltenders, still doing well. Saros, 15-6-1. He has 3 shutouts. Good save percentage. Good goals against. 47 goals against so far this year. It's not horrible. Obviously, he's 15-6 for a reason. Very good. Neither of them has a point yet. Kind of interesting. And then Grubauer's playing great as a backup. Similar numbers. So, can't really complain about that one. Quick look at the AHL team as well. So, these guys started off hot, but then, kind of slacked off, like I said. But pretty similar look to last time. I'm going to change up the lines down there, I think, because there's some guys that aren't really pulling their weight. So, I'm going to change up the lines in the AHL, but I'm not going to show that because, we're here to focus on the NHL. So, possibly some line changes here in the NHL. Quick look at the standings before we kind of wrap this one up. But we sit in second place in the entire league right now. We're 1 point and 1 game behind the Boston Bruins. However, they're in the Eastern Conference, so we don't really have to worry about that one. But let's go through it. Goals for, we're number 2 overall, so we are sitting in 3rd overall for that. Goals against, we are sitting in the bottom 4. Great to see. Vegas, what are you doing? 123 goals allowed already. Interesting. So we also have a good power play this year. We're 5th overall there. 24 goals so far. Good percentage as well. Top 3. Love to see that. Penalty kill. This is one I was kind of interested in. So we were 80%. So we could be doing better at that. Definitely. So we only have 1 short in goal. But the records look great overall. And I don't know if you guys see what I see up here, but the Islanders, 10-3-1 at home, 2-6-4 away. That's interesting. I haven't seen a record like that in a while. I guess it's with Philadelphia too. They're bad at home, but they're great away. So I don't know, but our record's 10-4 at home, 9-2-1 away, 7-3 in our last 10, and we're doing great. So I think that's a good place to stop for today. Obviously, I got some work to do behind the scenes to kind of figure out what's going to go on there. But it's a great start for us this year. We start off in a good record, good spot. We're top of our division, top of the Western Conference. and I'm happy. Obviously, the new lineup is looking great. But as for today, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you did enjoy, hit the like button down below. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And as always, guys, see you next time.